So you want to move into an RV full-time, but want to know how much it can cost? Will and I were living in Philly before making the jump to move into an RV full-time. And although we never had any prior experience, we've been living on the road with our fifth wheel for the past 3+ months. Before we went to look at potential RVs, I did a lot of research on how much the RV lifestyle costs. Watching others' videos on their expenses helped us in our decision making, so we're hoping we can do the same for others. Today I'll be breaking down how much the two of us spent in the month of November. This includes all of our expenses, so keep that in mind if you're just comparing your rent or your mortgage to all of our expenses, not just our RV related expenses. So I'll cut to the chase. In November, we spent a total of $3,604.76 combined for two people. This includes everything from our RV and truck payments to groceries to just your typical monthly bills. We spent more our first few months as we had a few maintenance issues, set up our solar panel system, and bought RV-related products to get us started on the right foot. Stay tuned as I plan to make a video in the near future about the products we made sure to have when we started our RV journey. That being said, in November we tried to be as frugal as possible and opted for boondocking on federal land, not spending money at restaurants, and choosing free hobbies like hiking. Came from renting, so we're excited that our RV and truck payments will eventually end, unlike our rent at the apartment. So let's get started with our RV related expenses, the expenses that are different and new from compared to when we were living in our apartment in Philly. So in November, our RV related recurring expenses was a total of $810.79. That includes our RV payment and warranty, so that was $531.45. The warranty has already come in clutch quite a few times, so we do think that for our RV it's at least worth it. And then for our RV insurance, we spent $35.24. That's for both of us. We currently use Progressive, and this covers us both for the full-time living option. Our last monthly recurring bill is $244.10 for our storage unit that is in Philly. We plan on going back to Philly in the spring actually to get rid of it. We got it because we weren't really sure what we were doing with our life, honestly, and it was kind of a nice to have as a just in case the RV life wasn't working out, that we still had a lot or most of our belongings. But as of now, we plan to go back in the spring and kind of consolidate, donate, sell what we can, and kind of move the rest in the RV and get rid of that expense. $810.79 covers the RV recurring monthly expenses. So let's take a look at the RV related flex spending that occurred in November. So that was a total of $144.34. Typically we would include campground fees here, but we actually boondocked the entire month of November, which means that we were camping on free federal land. So we paid nothing in terms of campgrounds for the month. We did spend a total of $33.07 for water and dumping fees, as well as $111.27 for propane. It got a little bit chilly at night in the desert, so we did use the propane for heat, but in addition, we used it to power our fridge, heating our water, our stove, our oven, and yeah, so it does a lot for us. That brings our total for RV related expenses for the month, both recurring and flex, to a total of $955.13. So again, that's the $144.34 for the kind of flex spending and the $810.79 for the recurring monthly fees. So I'd say that the $955.13 is a heck of a lot better than the $1,400 I was paying for rent and the $1,700 Will was paying for rent when we were both living in our own apartments in Philly before we moved in together. Also noting that our monthly fees will be $244.10 cheaper once we get rid of our storage unit. Now we'll take a look at our regular expenses that we would have had kind of similar to when we were still living in the city, and ones that might be similar to your own. In terms of our regular recurring expenses, we have $947.31 for our truck payment and warranty. We still had cars in Philly and still had payments and insurance and all of that, so that's why I'm including it in kind of our regular expenses. And then our truck insurance for the both of us is $257.04. which is just a little bit more expensive than we were paying for our own car insurance, but keep in mind that we have a 1-ton diesel truck, so it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive because of that. But yeah, not too far off from what we were both paying for our own insurance individually. And then we also have a payment of $29.81 for subscriptions. So kind of, Peacock, Hulu, those type of subscriptions. $100 for our internet bill, and that includes T-Mobile and Verizon. We find that it's good to have at least two of the carriers to keep us covered, especially as we're boondocking throughout the country. And then lastly, we had a phone bill of $75. That's between me having Mint Mobile and Will having Verizon. And that brings our total to $1,409.16 for our regular recurring expenses. Then looking at our November flex spending, we spent a total of $14.21 at getting oat milk lattes at Dutch Bros Coffee as a little bit of a treat. We spent $609.08 in groceries for the both of us for the month. And then $326.40 in personal care items, household goods, vitamins, and minerals. Over $100 of that actually went to a cotton down comforter to keep us a little bit warm. We were definitely lacking that. So that definitely came in handy in the desert chilly nights there. And then lastly, we spent $174.99 for our truck's oil change, which, is an expense we would be doing with our cars in the city anyway. I'm adding fuel in our just regular flex spending as well, and not our RV related expenses, just because in the month of November we didn't really tow it much anywhere, which would increase our diesel costs. Since we were boondocking, we spent 2 weeks each on federal land and only towed it 30 minutes away, and then just used the truck as usual for, getting groceries, going on hikes and everything. Working remotely, we also don't have a commute that you might be paying for, so that's not an expense for us, but our total diesel expense for the month was $115.79. So that brings our total flex expenses for the month to $1,240.47. So taking a look at it all together, our total RV related expenses was $955.13, and our total regular expenses was $2,649.63, which brings our grand total to $3,604.76 for the month of November. I think that the best part about this lifestyle is that wherever we choose to go in the country, we're still home. I do think it's important to note that the monthly costs do vary, and especially if you are going to campgrounds a lot, those fees can definitely add up. Definitely don't let that discourage you if you are interested in this lifestyle. There are definitely ways to keep it cheaper. For instance, we got a used fifth wheel that's 31 feet, and you can go a lot smaller than that. There are teardrops and A-frames and smaller travel trailers that you can get, which also means that you wouldn't necessarily have to have a 1-ton diesel pickup truck to be towing it. If you already have an SUV, you could potentially already use that. Then again, you can also go a lot more bougie and, get a big motor home, a Class A. You can get super expensive, converted Sprinter vans. So, the lifestyle can definitely vary. It's all about, what your preference is and how you choose to kind of navigate the lifestyle. You also may not even need the storage unit at all to begin with. You can even, pay upfront in cash if you have those means instead of doing the loans. And you can also opt to, not do the warranties like we did. That would definitely help save you on the monthly fees as well. So yeah, that's just kind of a quick look at our November expenses. Let us know if you have any questions for us. We're happy to answer. And yeah.